And once again, my name is Angelia. I will be the host of the webinar today demonstrating Appraiser Genie with Total. And you guys will be able to find this recorded webinar online at www.appraisergenie.com. You'll just click on the training tab. If you guys want to look at this later today, you'll be able to. I usually post this to our website a couple of hours after we wrap up. Okay, so we're going to go and get started. What you see in the background, you should be able to see my screen here. This just kind of overviews the MLS setup process, which you do have to have complete before you can use Genie. There are some MLSs such as RailTrax, North Star. Some of those don't require any setup, but regardless if yours does require setup, we can set this up for you at no cost. You can email our team at mls@appraisergenie.com, or you can call them at 325-455-7939. As stated here, basically an export is a list of fields from your MLS that we need in a specific order. That way when you import your search into Genie, Genie can process that file and return all the data in the file. Now that does have to be done first. So we don't actually go over in detail how to export from your MLS because it is quite different across the nation, but I'm going to give you a general idea of what I did when I logged into my MLS. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so this little screenshot here just shows you the criteria that I used when I logged into Ntrace, which is the North Texas MLS. So if you guys use that, it should look exactly the same. I logged into my MLS first. All I did was log in, created a neighborhood search based off the subject I was using, and I grabbed my actives, my pendings, my solds. I went back at least 1 year because Genie does produce the 1004MC. And DJ, you stated you can't see your screen. Can everyone else see the screen? Just send me a chat, yes or no, please. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on, DJ. Looks like everyone else is stating they could see the screen. You might want to make sure you're signed in correctly. I'm not sure. Okay, so back to the search criteria. You'll see I drew a 2-mile radius. All I did was typed in the subject address, I created a price range, and I narrowed it to stories. That's generally just what you'll want to do. You can narrow it by single family. Whatever criteria you would like, you're just defining the neighborhood boundaries, and you're going to save that to your computer. So with Ntrace, all you do is go to results. You just check all of the results, and towards the bottom there's a blue header. You just click on export, and there's a drop down. You'll change it to what we create, which is called Appraiser Genie, and that's where your export is stored. Now I already saved that to my computer. I don't go over that in detail, but I will show you what it looks like. So down here is the search based on the subject here, and you'll notice I have column headers. They're in a certain order, and this is just a list of the fields, the only ones that Genie specifically needs. So this will be done for you, and you'll generally want to do this first. Just go ahead and do this, save it to your computer, and then you can go back to Total and just pull open the report you want to use. So the report I have open, this is just a sample report that we're going to go through during the demo today. You'll notice most of it is empty. You just want to fill out the subject information, including the address, of course, county, city, state. You can have all this filled in if you want to. We don't do the neighborhood characteristics or the present land use, but we do fill out the 1-unit housing trends. And the 1-unit housing price and age will fill this out for you. We don't do the neighborhood commentary. You'll still enter that yourself. And I did fill in a lot of this section here because as stated, we need to know the general subject information as far as if it has a fireplace, heating and cooling, what year it was built, the design, stories, just general information. You don't have to have every single thing filled out, of course. Now page 2 is the most important aspect other than the address, because we transfer all of this information that I entered here in the subject column into Genie, and then we send this information to buildingcost.net. they in return send us the total replacement cost based on the subject criteria here. So you don't have to have every single field filled out here. Like let's say you haven't inspected a subject, you don't know the GLA. You can try to go and pull that information yourself. If you don't know the information, you can leave it blank here. We'll try to pull it from public records. But if we're unable to find the information, you're going to have to fill it in either way. So it's up to you. And for those who are asking, I'm not able to make you guys a presenter. I stay the presenter just to make sure we stay on target for a time frame, but we do offer a one-on-one training session. So if you do end up going through with the 10 free and having your MLS set up, we can walk you through it on your own computer. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have filled out in the report, just the subject criteria. And I already logged in as stated earlier, created my MLS search. I just saved it where it was easier for me to find on the computer. Now we can actually go ahead and get started. For those of you who haven't used Appraiser Genie or installed it, you'll access it the same way. You're going to go to Dashboard in the top right-hand corner. If you don't see Appraiser Genie listed because you haven't installed it, you'll just go to Total Store and click Launch. It's going to open here in a browser, and you're just going to scroll down here to Partner Products. You'll see our icon here. Alright, now definitely sign up for the 10 free before you begin paying. You can pay per report, per 10 pack, or pay unlimited. You would just click on the free trial. All you're going to do is sign in with your Alamode login. We don't have that, so make sure you guys know what the Alamode information is. You'll click sign in, and that's all you do there. You just close it. You would actually go back to the dashboard and close it. Just relaunch it real quick. Okay, and you guys will see Appraiser Genie listed here. The only difference is it will say download. All you do is follow the installation and come back, and then it will say launch. So that's all you do. You install it. Once you have the report open, your MLS ready to go, you just click on launch. Okay, so you have two options here. You can choose a currently open report, which if you have the report open like I do, you will click this one. Make sure you have the right one selected if you do have more than one open, and then you click OK. Alright, so Genie is cloud-based. You'll see at the bottom of the browser Chrome is open. We'll just click on that. And you're taken to a sign-in page. Now, I obviously have used the Genie quite a few times, so I already have an email and password. For those of you who've never used the Genie, you're going to go down here and click on registration. When you click on registration, you'll have a little form you fill out. All you do is fill that out. Then it's going to take you back here, and you'll just sign in with the email and password you just created. So this is my email and password. I'm going to make sure I click Remember Me so I don't have to type it in every time, and click Submit. Now, just a heads up, we definitely do not recommend you go through Genie with Internet Explorer or Edge. They just don't support a lot of the newer code. We're a much newer cloud software, so we use a lot of the newer code for features. Don't try to go through with Genie. You'll get random errors that are not actually an error, so definitely set your default browser to Chrome or Firefox. Okay, so you'll see that Genie launched on its own. I'm on the Input tab here. Now this is the tab you're actually just taken to every time you launch Genie. There are a few defaults you can set up that will affect every report. I'm going to show you how to do that. There's a little forward and backward arrow towards the top here. We want to click this back arrow all the way over. Once we click it all the way over, we're going to see a tab at the end labeled Defaults. We're going to click on this. So that's going to go ahead and load. Just remember, if you see this little circle loading at the top of the browser here, don't click it again, just let it load. It's going to take you there on its own. You don't want to get click happy. You can cancel the session. Alright, so you'll see I'm on the blue default tab now. There's actually quite a few different defaults you can set here. There's abbreviations, meaning how do you want us to enter the acronyms for the comps that have cool window, cool wall, cool central. Whatever's in these boxes, that's what's going to load into the report once we export. Comments, There's quite a few comments Genie will fill out for you in the report, including subject previous sell history, comp previous sells, any cost approach site comments, concession comments, REO. There's data source telling you where we retrieved the information, summary, and of course you got your condo REO and condo summary. So the pre-filled sections here, that's comments we pull for you. We'll pull any data that's in brackets. We'll pull the sales quantity, the REO current quantity, etc. These are totally editable, meaning if you don't want to use what we put in the report, you can erase these, you can type in your own information, whatever you want to do. You can actually click on Quick Pick, and if you want to pull more information, let's say you want something for the subject, basement, you want us to pull the square footage. If you click it, it puts it wherever your cursor was. Mine was towards the beginning, so it's going to pull that subject basement square footage for every report. Definitions, we'll just break this down and give you a page of definitions as far as what the Appraisal Institute provides for whatever the definition is. Graphs, if you want us to include up to 10 different graphs, you can just choose month, quarter, or year. That's graph 1. You go down and just choose which type of graph you want, and you'll notice there's quite a few different graphs here I have set up, and I'll show you a few once we export to the report. Now narrator is probably the coolest thing that we're adding. Doesn't quite work yet, still in beta testing, but what it does is it's going to load about a 3-page addendum into the report that pretty much covers the scope of the report you ran as far as any commentary, any adjustments we give you or adjustments you decide to use, any contract comments. I'm actually going to show you guys what it looks like because I have been testing it myself. And I'm just going to open it in a Word document. And this is an example of the narrator that will go into the work file for you. It's going to break down highest and best use, extraordinary assumption, any subject, contract, neighborhood comments, any time trend information, which we pulled the data for you. Sales comparison approach, you're going to have any adjustments. We'll tell you what the adjustment was, what the method was if you use them. And this little sentence here is a summary, and we pull that for every report. We break down the weighting for you, cost approach, adjusted value. That's an example that will be functional soon. We'll make sure to notify everyone when it's released, and any previous sales history we'll pull down here as well. Password, very simple. If you need to change the Appraiser Genie password you create, you go here and type in the new password, repeat it, click Save. So those are pretty much the bulk of the tabs here. The very top one, there are quite a few more defaults here. We don't go over them extensively. Most of the time we cover this in our one-on-one training session. The blue question marks, they basically walk you through and tell you what you are to do there. Plus, if you scroll up towards the top, there is a video. So if you can't get a hold of us or you just want to go through the video instead of calling, whatever you need, you just click the video and it's going to open a video, which I'm uploading this later today, so that should be okay later when you try to access it. Now, some things I will cover here. This little MLS acronym area, that is very important. Whatever MLS you guys use, you need to store the MLS acronym here. As stated earlier, I use Intrace, which is North Texas, so all I did was put the acronym. If you use Austin, you'll put ABOR, Austin Board of Realtors, Cedar Rapids, CRMLS if you're California, wherever you guys are located. Don't just put something in the box. If you're not sure what you should put there, you can give us a call because we do have to have what's on file. Another example, RA Colorado. Obviously, if you're in Colorado, you may use that one. Now, if you use more than one, you can list up to 8 here, and we can set these up for you. In the following sections, you'll have verification source, rights, location, view, whatever is displaying in these boxes, that's what's going to transfer to the report automatically. Here's an example. Verification source, I have MLS, assessor, and doc number. Once we export back to total, in this field here, verification source, it's going to say something, if I could type, similar to this. and we'll pull the actual document number for the comp, and that comes from public records. Now you don't have to use what I have here. The reason there are 3 boxes is you can put quite a few different things in that verification source field. Just keep in mind there's only so much you can put in that field, so I would probably put no more than 2 or 3. But there is a drop down if there's something additional you want us to put there, or let's say you want this there, whatever you guys want to show up in that field. Now ask me here, that's optional. Ask me is if you're not sure which source to use. Maybe you're not sure if you want to use public, MLS, or peer. For those of you who couldn't hear me, I'm not sure what happened, but just to recap, these fields here, when you pick the comps for the report, you can tell Genie which source to use. Do you want to use public records to fill that in, MLS, or peer? And if you're not sure which one you want to use, go ahead and leave it on Ask Me, and then we'll show you what all 3 sources report for site, age, stories, etc. Now, peer database, that is just a running average of comps that have been ran through Genie specifically. So, for example, if you're looking through a comp and you want to know the site information, if you set it to peer, we'll show you, okay, averagely site 1500 is what's being used for this comp, whatever the criteria is. Now, lastly, column order. Once again, when you're picking the comps for the report, you're going to see all of this criteria displayed for each comp. When you scroll down, you're going to notice that's a lot of information. So what you do is you can move these fields up and down and reorder this based on how you want to see this information. Now this I'm going to refer back to later. If it doesn't make sense right now, it's okay. I will come back to this. Just remember I have GLA, year built, sales price. Alright, so once I reach the bottom, I'll scroll back up. And since you, or if you ever change anything, please make sure you click Save. If you do not click Save and you go all the way through here and make changes, it's not going to change anything. So I'm going to let that load and click Save. Alright, now this will go just a bit slower since I'm remoted in. When you guys are on GoToMeeting or TeamViewer, it can slow it down a bit. Once that's through loading, I'm going to go ahead and use that forward arrow, and I want to go back to the front so I can start the report. So I'm just going to go all the way over, and I'm going to go back to this input tab. So it's going to work the same way. Next time you launch Genie, you're on the input tab automatically. Just arrow back over, click on defaults, change what you need to here and save it, and then just come back to input. Now what you're going to see across the top is the subject information here. You're going to fill out this page top going down. The first thing we want to do is enter the effective date of the report. Just click the down arrow. We'll go with today. Next, you're going to select the form you're using. Now there's quite a few forms here. Genie does support multiple different forms. For me, I'm going to use the single family 1004 UAD. Cost approach. Now cost approach is yes or no. If the lender doesn't require it in the report, you can leave it on no. If you do want us to fill that out for you, please change that to yes. REO addendum, quantitative REO addendum, listing addendum. These are just additional addendums Genie can fill out for you if it's needed. You'll just check them here. If you don't need any of them, leave them deselected. And these last two here, FHA, VA, you're not going to do anything with these right now. That's going to relate to the narrator. When that's functional, you just choose which one you're using or which one you need, and that's going to fill out the commentary based on if it's an FHA or a VA. Alright, so this section here is pretty straightforward. As stated earlier, we set up Genie to analyze the full neighborhood, which is why when you log into your MLS, you're just simply creating the neighborhood boundaries itself via the map, feature, zip code, high school, however you guys want to do it. And then you just save that file to your computer. So this is my entire neighborhood search. If I scroll down, looks like I have 98 in here. So these 98, I don't want all 98 to go in the 1004MC, my market conditions. I want to narrow this out to get rid of any comps that are not truly comparable or outliers. So what I do is I minimize this, and I do that here. Whatever I enter is going to go against the subject plus or minus. For example, I can put a 10 here, and I'm just telling Genie, okay, out of this file here, I only want to return comps that are 10 years newer or older than the subject. Anything outside of that, just leave it in the neighborhood search, but don't return it when I'm picking the comps for the report. This is a percentage, so I only want to return comps that are within 40% GLA of my subject. Anything else I don't want to show up. And anything with a 0, I just don't care to narrow it by. I don't usually narrow by garage space, basement square footage. 99% of the time, it's not in the MLS file anyway. So if you put something here, you can incorrectly narrow it. I'm just going to leave everything else as 0. Next section, you have reconciliation weighting, which is a use path requirement. Once again, these little blue question marks, you scroll down and it will tell you what to do here. This is a weighting of the 3 methods between cost, sales, and income. If you put a 10 here, you're just telling Genie you want to assign the full weighting on sales comparison approach. I'll leave the rest blank. I don't care to use income approach or cost, but you could put an 8 here and a 2 here, however you want to break it down as long as it adds up to 10. Highest to best use, my top use is current, which is residential, below is also residential, and multifamily displays by default, but you can just click the down arrow, click the blank space, and you're going to get rid of that. Alright, this next section is land comp sales. Now this section here is entirely optional. This may or may not apply. This is only if you have raw land sales that you need to be reconciled, meaning you would type in the address here, sales price, site size, all the criteria you would manually enter, and it will consider that information when we derive the land value for you. So that's optional. This last section is also optional, square foot method. Very similar. You can edit any green fields you need. Now I don't see too many people use this. This is really only if you use Marshall and Swift. If you do, you just manually transfer their information here. If you don't, just skip this, leave it alone, just leave it how you see it, and we'll use buildingcosts.net to fill that out for cost approach. Okay, so that's the bottom. We're just going to scroll back to the top now, and we're ready to go. So this page is just pretty much setting up the report. We're going to go ahead and click Browse now, and this is where we're going to import the file that I've been showing you guys to my computer. We need to upload that to Genie. So I'm going to go to where that is on my computer. Okay, so I just double click on it. You're going to see a little green drop down box. We need to click on our MLS acronym, which mine is InTrace. So this tells Genie for the file I just uploaded, please map it to InTrace, and then all we do is click Start New Report. Now Genie's going to upload that file. We're going to of course verify every address inside the file with the Postal Service, and then we will put in order, distance from the subject, closest proximity, and then the farthest out will be towards the end. We also read the file, kick out anything that's not UAD compliant, so that can take a minute to upload it, which is what scrubbing means. Okay, you're going to be taken to this pop-up automatically. All this is your subject criteria. So back in total, page 2 here, this is why I state you'll want to have this filled out, because we take this section and we upload this to Genie. The reason we show you this is it's very important to have accurate information. So we show you this, we want you to look through it, make sure everything's correct. Anything with an asterisk is mandatory. You have to have something provided there. If you need to modify it, correct what you need to. Once everything looks correct, you'll click Next. Now grading and sorting, what we're going to be taking to is the comp search. This tab up the top here, this tells you're on the comp search tab. I'm going to go back to this file. You're going to notice I had about 98 comps in here, but remember I narrowed it down by age and GLA. So since I narrowed it down, I have 63 here. So 63 of the comps in that file met the 10 years age variance and the 40% GLA. The 54 solds, 3 pending, and 6 active, that's what you're going to see listed on this page here. When you scroll down, you're going to have all 63 displayed. On the far left-hand side, the S will of course mean sold. When you scroll down, any A will be active, P is pending. Now this is important. This little counter here, that reflects what's going to go into the 1004 MC, your market conditions addendum. The sold and actives displayed on this tab is what will be provided there. Now if you for some reason narrow it too much, maybe you hadn't used the Genie before and you weren't 100% on the narrowing, if you get to this tab and it's too narrowed, or maybe you didn't narrow it enough, you just click back on input and all you do is widen the narrowing parameters back up and re-import the file, and it will change this here. So keep in mind you definitely control what the 1004 MC looks like. The 54 sold, that's what we're going to use for regression analysis and matched pair analysis. So that's also important. What you see here is what's going to be used to derive those adjustments. For regression, it will run with 54 comps, but by no means will it most likely be accurate. We definitely recommend at least 100 solds. If you can't produce 100 solds, I wouldn't worry about it. Regression doesn't work for everyone. Trust me, we've helped people all over the country, and it's just not reliable in some areas. So just remember, if you are trying to run regression, you could go back farther in your MLS search. You can actually go back up to 5 years, but it's up to you. Now for extraction and allocation adjustments, we just use the subject and the comps you choose for the report. So we only consider that information when we derive the extraction and allocation. This is actually in order for you, top going down, starting with closest proximity to the subject, then most recently sold, then least adjusted. So this page is in order for you. We don't just throw them on here. We want to have some sort of ordering when you're picking the comps for the report. You can grab this horizontal bar and go all the way over, and this is where I come back to the defaults. Earlier I told you guys to remember my ordering. I had GLA, year built, sales price. This goes back to the ordering. You can set that up in the defaults. That way when you get to this tab and you pick the comps, you can just immediately see the criteria you're looking for. Distance, we'll put that in order, miles from the subject. So this 0.3, this is why this one's towards the top. Now this doesn't always calculate. If the realtor enters the street address wrong, or we just can't verify with the Postal Service, it may just say a 0 here. And sometimes they do float to the top based on other criteria. So make sure you look through here and actually go through here and choose the comps for the report. I wouldn't recommend just jumping through here and picking the top ones. They may not be the best. You can click on any of these column headers if you need to reorder it. For example, if I click on GLA, it's going to reorder, looks like smallest to largest. And you can click again and it's going to go largest to smallest. You can do that alphabetically. You can click on any of these column headers. If you do that and you want to get rid of what you just did, you can click on Reset Sort Order, and it's just going to put it back in the ordering we had it for you. Okay, so we'll crest this back here. The subject button, that just repopulates your subject information if you need to refer back to it. Now, if you narrow it, generally you shouldn't have too many outliers in here, but if you do get to this page and let's say this comp's an outlier, maybe the GLA is 2 or 3 times larger than the subject or smaller, whatever the case is, you can click on the addresses, and if you want to get rid of them here so they don't affect any analysis or any support, you just click on the ones you want to get rid of, click Delete Selected Comps, you would click Yes, and it's going to kick them out of here so they don't affect anything. Make sure you do that first before you go through here and choose the ones you want to use for the report. So that's the point we would be at. We're just going to go through here and we're going to choose some comps for the report. Now I'm going to go back to here, and it looks like my subject is 2167. So I'm going to click that again. Okay, and I'm just going to scroll through here and just grab a few. Okay, so I just got 3 solds here. There's a counter to tell me how many I've selected, which is 3. And for total, you can go up to 15. So by no means you need to just put 3. Put whatever you guys typically would want. You can grab more than 3. I'll go with 4. And then we'll just click Next. So Genie is going to go ahead and verify with the MLS reports against public and peer based on the 4 comps I chose. So earlier I left everything as Ask Me in my defaults. This pop-up box is because I left everything on Ask Me. It's telling me for this address, 2316 Cottonwood Lane for bed, MLS is reporting 4, public says 3, and peer says 4. So I need to go through here and choose, do I want to go with what the MLS says, public or peer? Looks like peer went with MLS. It's up to you. You'll click on the top box, depending on which source you want to use. Let's just go with MLS. We'll notice the address changed. If there's another discrepancy, it's going to take you to the next one. So I have 2816 Edgewood for age. MLS is saying 33, public says 34, peer says 33. Now if you're ever going through here and these are both wrong for whatever reason, maybe they're just both not accurate for you, you can type in your own value, click Use Peer, and then we will use your value. So you don't have to use any of these actually, you could type in your own. Now if you don't want to go through one by one individually, there can be quite a few discrepancies. If you just want to use the rest for public, MLS, or peer, you'll just use these bottom buttons. So for the remaining, if there are any more discrepancies, I just want to go with what MLS said. So I'm going to click this, and it gets rid of the box there. Now on the left-hand side, you're going to see your subject address. When you scroll down, all the boxes that are filled in, that just comes from you putting it in total in the report. Or if we use public records to fill that in, that will be provided here. If you grab the horizontal bar, you're going to see your first comp. This is the first comp I picked for the report. We're going to scroll all the way over to make sure all 4 are in here. Okay, and lastly, 721 Saddlebrook. Now when you scroll down, all of this should be filled in for you. If we're missing anything, maybe we tried to pull GLA but we didn't get it from MLS, public, or peer, it will just be an empty yellow box, and that's Genie's way of telling you, hey, can you get this value and type it in here? That way we consider it when we're trying to give you a GLA adjustment, site, whatever the adjustment is. Looks like everything came across fine. Now it's very easy to read. You just read this horizontally. So here's site. This is my subject site if you look at the address, and here's this site information for this address here. And just go straight across the page. Alright, so this middle section here is actually where we provide you the adjustments. You'll have a black adjustment header. Tells you the type of adjustments we give you. This is your land value. This is age, bath, bedroom, GLA. Now these are entirely optional. You only click on the adjustments you want in the report. If you don't want to use all these adjustments, you just don't click on them. We'll still give you the support and the breakdown for every adjustment we give you. We just don't put it in the report grid. So for example, this is land value. If I scroll over, this 32,600 is based on allocation, 44,000 extraction, and of course regression is a negative 884, which is probably because I only had 54 solds. Now the cool thing is you'll still get this breakdown, and we'll tell you how we got that value. And the way you do that is once you get to this blue side-by-side tab, you can actually access all the other tabs now. And if it's regression, we just click on the regression tab. And this is what you'll see in your work file. It's going to be a PDF version. It's just going to tell you the table used for regression, of course, all of this information here, and every comp that went into the regression analysis. Now this is optional. I don't recommend anyone use this if you can't explain the table itself. You'll still have the support, and even if it doesn't give you accurate adjustments, you can at least say you considered it, and it will be in the report for you. You can click on extraction. If you want more information on extraction, what comps were used, what the information was, you just click on it. Any math used, we very simply tell you A times B plus C times D, so that's going to be A, B, C, D, and that gives you E. An example, this will be in the work file as well. And the site size adjustments, of course the decreasing returns is indicated, and any forecasting adjustments. So we're going to go back to the side-by-side, which is the comp grid. Now this little repairs option here, if I click on it, this is in beta testing. This goes along with the narrator. But if you know if the subject has any improvements needed, any repairs, you can define a percentage. Maybe it's not a full AC repair. We'll allocate a subtotal based on the total amount, which is the construction cost takeoff by buildingcost.net. You can put in commentary, and we'll put this in a narrator as well. So that's just a repair estimator that we pull for you, the value anyway, and you can just delegate a percentage, put in commentary, and we'll put that in the report for you. Alright, so what I'm going to go through now is show you guys how to use the adjustments. So as stated, if you want the adjustment to actually be in the report grid, you'll click on which one you want to use. So for me, for example, I'm going to go with this 32,600. All I do is click it once. It turns blue. You get a loading screen. And straight across here, you're going to have the adjustment. Now for site size, you can set a default in Genie to not adjust for, which I put 30%. So if these comps are within 30% of the subject, it's just going to put a 0 there. It doesn't adjust for whatever variance I put. Let's see if any of them were outside of that. This one here was 14. There's my subject, and there's the adjustment there. Okay, we can go down here. This is GLA. You can do $62 per square foot, 57 or 7. I'm just going to go with 57. And turn blue and load. And once again, I had, I think, 100 square feet, if I'm correct, to not adjust for. My minimum square foot, I believe, is 100. So there's my 0. Okay, and good. Looks like they're all pretty similar. Okay, there's quite a few more adjustments. Heating and cooling, they all have heating and cooling, so it doesn't matter. 4600 is the space, garage space itself. 2300 is carport. Covered patio and fence. Now buildingcost.net does return an adjustment to us. They allocate a certain percentage out of the total replacement cost for covered patio, fence, among other things. So if you click on these adjustments here, it doesn't put it in the report. Just these two specifically, but it will be in the allocation PDF if you need to refer back to it. So if we arrow over and go to allocation here, it's going to break down all the allocation adjustments, and when we scroll down, you're going to see uncovered patio, covered patio, wood deck, fence, and it'll scroll over and it tells you the adjustment value. So you can put these in the report later if needed, or just leave them there for backup and support. Okay, we'll go back to the grid now. Okay, so I believe those are the only adjustments I want to make. The rest I don't really care to make, or it's not needed. These two are the same age, and I think the others are just a few years difference. Once I've clicked on all the adjustments I want in the report, I can now click on Export to Report. You're going to have a preparing report screen. You're just going to let it sit here and load. This progress bar will load as well on its own. Okay, now once you see this pop-up here, we need to ignore it. We should have a pop-up from total in a moment, so we're just going to let this sit here and wait for total. That should launch automatically. And that totally depends on total. Sometimes it can take, I've seen up to 30 seconds, so if it doesn't populate immediately, just give it a minute. Okay, so as you saw, that actually took almost a minute, but that's on there, and so you just got to sit there and let it load. What we're going to do is merge it to a currently open report. Now, obviously, when you use Genie, you want Genie for its benefits, meaning we fill out the grid, 1004MC, cost approach, a lot of commentary, neighborhood information. Generally, you're going to want to replace the data in my open report. If you have a sketch, check this box. If not, leave it blank, and we'll just click Import. Once again, we'll just let this load, and now that total is highlighted orange at the bottom, we're going to once again ignore this box here. The reason I'm ignoring this is I want to make sure it's in the report first before I click yes, because that ends the session. So we're going to go down here and click this, and you'll notice it's filled in here. Now, my MLS still puts the whole word traditional, and I don't actually have detached, attached, or semi-attached in my template. So some of this may not come through. It just totally depends on your MLS and if they give it to you. We don't do quality condition. You're going to fill that in yourself. It's way too subjective. I could say it's a Q4 and my neighbor could say Q3. I don't know if we'll ever find an actual legit way of filling that out for you, but maybe. I left blank 2. Blank row 2 is blank in my defaults. That's why it's blank here. Porch and patio, I didn't want Genie to fill that out. That's why it's blank there. Market conditions addendum, you'll see this commentary here. That's an example of the comment that we put in the report. And as stated, you don't have to use what we load in there. You can add to this, modify it, whatever you want to do. I believe I left cost approach on yes. I'm not sure. We'll see. Yes, so cost approach is in here. And we just put buildingcosts.net, the month and year we access it, the quality rating, you determine. Here's another comment we put in there based on the method I choose for site, and we check total replacement cost new. Now you'll see at the bottom here it says narrative addendum. That goes back to the narrator tab that I told you guys wasn't functional yet for everyone, but if we click on it, it's going to show the addendum. It's basically a scope of the report I just ran. Any adjustments I clicked on are here. And then, of course, any commentary, you'll need to click this little outward arrow. Okay, and then it pulls the actual comp information and the weighting that I just ran. And it pulls the actual data that was in that file based on what I narrowed it from. If you put a variance in the defaults that you don't want to adjust for, it's going to put that in here for you so you know exactly how you got the adjustments. Any prior sales history for each comp I picked, that's all pulled and listed here. Alright, so we'll go to the Work File tab. The Work File tab is where all of the PDFs are stored. So once I click on it, I'm going to see all of them here. Now that I looked through total and made sure everything was in here, I can go back to Genie since it's still open, and I'm just going to click yes. Okay, and it's just going to tell me to close it, so I'm done. Everything's done in Genie. I'm just going to close out, and I can go back to total and double click on these PDFs here, and this is exactly what I showed you guys earlier, the allocation tab. tells you what the adjustments were. The percentages, you cannot change these. These percentages are determined by buildingcosts.net based on the subject area. They allocate whatever percentage in that area based out of the total replacement cost being 100. I've been asked that quite a few times, and you cannot change that. This average dollar per square foot, that's actually just based on the comps I picked for the report. It's averaged out, and that's what we put into that percentage. So for GLA, 62% into 101 is why you saw a $62 per square foot allocation adjustment, and that's why you saw this per space for a garage. There's quite a few PDFs in here. If you want anything about sales, land value, anything that we determined for you, this little middle section is extraction, and then you got your allocation method here. Reconcile is a pretty cool one. So reconcile is going to break down the weighted by quantity of adjustments, weighted by net, weighted by gross, based on those 4 comps I chose, and then it's going to produce down here the sales comparison approach value and then the cost approach value. So this 10 here, this 247, that's what actually went into my report under sales comparison. Now you'll have some graphs, whether or not they produce a ton totally depends on the amount of comps you have. If you have, I mean, I've seen people run the Genie with 9 comps, so it will give you a graph, it just may not look the best, of course. Regression, you can go back to this regression in that little map here, so to speak. It's just all the sold comps that went into regression when we produced the adjustment for you. There's trend year percentage, so there's a percentage of concession contribution there. Now you can put these in the report. If you don't want to do that, you just leave them in the work file. If you want to put it in the report, all you do is click on the one you want. Let's just go with 1004, which looks like this. Neighborhood information is here. So I'll close that, just click on it, insert as page, label it whatever it is. You don't need to change this. All you do is click on OK. Go back to Forms, and you'll notice at the very bottom here, it's now in the report. Alright guys, and that pretty much sums it up. It's very quick. I had to explain pretty much every detail, but once you get it down, you can blow through here in 10 minutes. I'm going to unmute everyone. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to answer, or excuse me, ask me anything you need. I will stick around and make sure I help everyone. Anyone have questions? If you don't have a mic, you can send a chat and I will answer those as well. Anyone have any questions? Anything? Anybody have feedback? Anything they'd like to see added? Any kind of commentary? Anything I could do to improve the webinar? All right. Looks like nobody has any questions. Last call. In the meantime, if you guys do think of any questions, as stated, if your MLS hasn't been set up, it's very easy. We've set up over 300 across the nation. Therefore, it takes us minutes to set up the MLS. So don't let that get in the way of you guys using it. It's very easy. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate your nice comments. For DJ, if you missed the beginning, don't worry. I'm going to convert this, and I'm going to go to our website and show you where it will be listed. That's not the website. Okay, so if you go to appraisergenie.com, you're going to have a training tab, and I will make sure to update this total video here. Granted, I just ran one July 3rd, so this one isn't going to be too different unless they had questions. Seattle NW MLS, let me see. Let me look that up for you, because I don't know off the top of my head what it is. It might just be NW MLS. Let's see. Give me a second while this loads here. Okay, yes. So for Seattle, that is all you put. You're just going to put NW MLS. Thank you, DJ. If you have questions, give us a call. And you can reach us at 325-455-7939 or 7890. If you want sales, just call 325-455-7890. All right, thank you guys. So once again, my name is Angelia. I'll make sure to get this posted soon. Hope you guys could definitely benefit from Genie. I could personally say it's the best out there, and we constantly improve. You guys have a great day. Thank you.